The only thing that can never be taken away from you is the knowledge, experience, and skills that you've gained during your life, as well as other intangible character traits. No one can take away your confidence. No one can take away your charisma. No one can take away what you know or your ability to play an instrument. The only thing that can never be taken away from you is who you are, or more accurately, what you have created yourself to be.
Go on an adventure, go on an adventure, go on.
In the book The Count of Monte Cristo, Edmond Dantes gets thrown in prison where he meets the Abbé Faria, better known as the priest. And the priest requests Edmond's help in digging a tunnel towards the outer wall.
We could dig in the opposite direction. And with both of us together, then of course we could possibly do it in 8 years. Oh. And there's something else to demand your time. Some pressing appointment, perhaps? In return for your help, I offer something priceless.
My freedom.
No, freedom can be taken away. As you well know, I offer knowledge. Everything I have learned. I will teach you economics, mathematics, philosophy, science.
To read and write?
Of course.
The priest knows that knowledge cannot be taken away. Economics, mathematics, to read and write, these things are forever. You can get thrown in prison, you can get your money taken away, your status taken away, your material possessions taken away. But what you know and what you've experienced and what you've learned how to do lasts forever. It cannot be taken away. So in prison, he doesn't just teach Edmond intellectual activities, he also teaches him to sword fight, and he teaches him to duel, and he teaches him knife fighting. He teaches him speed and quickness, not just of body, but of mind. In the prison, Edmond Dantes is transformed into the Count of Monte Cristo by the priest. And when he escapes from the prison and gets the treasure, he then becomes the Count, fully transformed, with the power to impact his environment, with the power to get revenge on the enemies that betrayed him in his youth.
Greetings.
One of my favorite new shows is a pirate show called Black Sails. And the protagonist in Black Sails is Captain Flint. Captain Flint has a tragic backstory. He was a British naval officer before he was dishonorably discharged, ejected from the Navy, and exiled on a Caribbean island called Nassau. So when they discharged him and exiled him, they took his ship, they took his crew, they took his status, they took everything from him, all of his material possessions. They dropped him off on a beach with nothing. Unfortunately, what they couldn't take away from him was who he was. They couldn't take away what he had created himself to be. And later on in the series, you find out that it took Captain Flint 4 months to get a new ship, assemble a new crew, and be back out on the ocean, pillaging and pirating British ships. So their strategy of, oh, we're just going to get rid of this guy, we won't have to ever deal with him or see him again, that didn't really work out because they couldn't take away who he was. They couldn't take away what he created himself to be. Same with Edmond Dantes. His enemies believed he's in prison, he's gone, I'll move on, it's been forever, he's probably dead. But within prison, he created himself into something that was powerful in and of itself. And this is the difference between title power and personal power. Title power exists as an extension of an organization. You have power because the organization is powerful and they've given you a title. Let me remind us of some titles that we're familiar with. Teacher, coach, boss, manager, assistant manager, president, senator, principal, vice principal, captain, admiral, general, colonel, captain. These are some titles that we're familiar with. And these people that have these titles have power because they are given this title by a powerful organization. The government is a powerful organization. They give someone the title of senator or governor. That extends power. Or a school district with principal, or a religious organization with priest or pastor, or a company, 7-Eleven, I don't care, Taco Bell, manager, assistant manager. Power is given through titles. The problem with title power is that unless it's backed up with personal power, it won't make sense to the people underneath you. The people following you that want to look at their leader and have it make sense. That's sort of an innate human need. We want to look at our leaders and go, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense, right? So unless there's personal power backing up the title, it doesn't really make sense, and it's just kind of an illusion. You know, it's one of those people who has to throw their weight around and, you know, throw out commands and orders, but nobody really respects them. They just have that title, and this often leads to a mutiny or a firing because they just don't have the personal power to back up the title. In the show Vikings, there is a stubby little man who has the title to throw power around. He is an extension of the Earl. So in the first season of Vikings, the Earl in Kattegat holds all the power. And the stubby little man, his henchman, likes to use his position as the right hand of the Earl to get other Vikings, massive, muscular Vikings, thrown in prison, exiled, or executed.
Kill him.
Well, if you question me, you're questioning the Earl. And you're not questioning the Earl, are you? You can be executed for that, and I'd love to do it, right? So that's how he uses his title. But no one respects him because they're 6'5" huge muscular Vikings and he's a stubby little man. And the problem with title power is what happens if the organization falls. And that's exactly what happens in Vikings. As soon as the Earl dies and he's killed in single combat against Ragnar Lothbrok, what happens to his little henchman? How long do you think he lasts without the organization that supported his title?
Kill him!
He lasts about 6 seconds. He lasts about 6 seconds before everyone he's really pissed off looks over and goes, yeah, nothing protecting him now. And this is the problem with title power, is that unless it's backed up with personal power that you've developed, then it's just it's an illusion, right? It's not real, right? It can't support itself without being supported by an organization. Maybe you've had managers like this. I certainly have, that really used their position but weren't really in control without the title given to them by the organization. No one really would have followed them if they didn't have to. Personal power is different. Personal power you sense when it walks in the room. You can feel it. When someone walks in with a lot of personal power, it turns heads. People notice. They go, oh, what's that? That's something. That's a lot. I don't know what that is, but I can feel it. People respond to it. We're biologically wired to respond to it because we're wired to find leaders and we're wired to notice danger, right? And someone with personal power is potentially one of the two. So if someone walks into your work and they are physically developed, which also demonstrates discipline to, maintain that physique, and then they also have the knowledge of your entire craft. They know everything about your craft, and they can show you that they know everything about your craft. Well, in your experience with them at your work, if they offer you a job, you might take it. You'll go, wow, this person, I don't know, they really are demonstrating some competence and some personal power. I'm considering working for them instead of, where I am right now. The other aspect to personal power is reputation. If that person walks in and they already have a reputation in the town, you know who they are, you've heard about them, and they back up their reputation with you in person, you're even more inclined to follow them, to treat them as a leader, because the experience of them reached you before you actually met them. And then when you did, it was backed up. You're like, you know what? This personal power checks out. Everybody else talks about it. Now I've experienced it. I'm going to go for this. If that person walks in and they're Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and they offer you a job, you're just going to take it. First of all, you're going to give him whatever he wants for free, and you're going to ask for a picture and just kind of fanboy for a while, and then you're just going to follow immediately because you'll be like, this is a globally impressive thing. This reputation is enormous. Like, this can only benefit me. This amount of personal power is world renowned. So it's only going to benefit me to go along with this because, and there's not even really a title there. There's just a singularly unique, personally powerful thing. It's a personal brand. Everyone knows The Rock. You're like, yep, yeah, I would love to work for you. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't go for title power. If you want to apply for the assistant manager position, go for it. I fully support that. Do it. Just make sure that you have developed the personal power to back up that position so that people can look at you in whatever position you're in and they can go, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, I support that. I can follow that. I can get behind that. That's what you want behind any sort of title you get. You don't want to be the little henchman that gets the title and has no ability to really back it up. You don't want that. That always leads to a negative conclusion. So the final point I want to make, you've watched this video this far and you've heard The Rock and huge massive Vikings and you're starting to think that this is about bodybuilding and this is about working out and developing physical power. It's not. There are many, many, many different types of personal power and they come in all different shapes and sizes. In the movie Troy, Odysseus says to Achilles,
"You have your sword. I have my tricks. We play with the toys that God to give us."
we all have different skills, we all have different personalities, and we play with the toys that God's give us. Whatever we are good at, that is a realm where we can develop unique personal power. I have a student in one of my classes, and he is a powerful communicator, too powerful. He can hijack my train of thought and take it wherever he wants. And the whole class goes and just listens to him and follows his train of thought. And then I have to struggle to get that train that went off the tracks and switch the tracks back and bring it back. And then everybody's already lost and they're thinking about his thing because he's a powerful communicator. And everyone just responds and they go, oh, this talking is important for some reason. And he just can grip people. He's funny, he's energetic, he's witty, he's clever, and it just grabs you and it takes you away. So his personal power exists in the realm of communication, certainly. It's important for you to recognize the skills that you have and the areas within which you can develop personal power in a significant way. If you're interested in cars, maybe you develop personal power and competence in that realm, and then you're that person that walks into a mechanic shop and just kind of blows somebody away with what you know and what you're capable of doing in that realm. And then they decide, you know what? My boss here, he doesn't know half what you know, and he doesn't take it seriously the way you do. You know what? I want to quit. I want to go work for you. So this is why personal power is worth developing. Not just because it gives you competence and it makes you a leader, but because it can never be taken away. No one can take it away. No one can take away my ability to play an instrument. No one can take away my ability to communicate. No one can take away my ability to do all the things that I do. No one. No one can take away my ability to speak different languages. There's nothing anyone can do to take that from me. So personal power is worth developing. And what do you think, I think, is the best way to develop personal power? Well, if you've watched any of my other videos, then you know that the best way to develop confidence and competence is to find something you're passionately interested in and go on an adventure.
Go on an adventure, go on an adventure, go